Hello everyone, in this video I will explain about PHP again, and for this video I will talk about branching and looping in PHP. Okay, so what's the topics of this meeting? The first is how to make program sequence, and in the programming sequence we can add selection or with branch, and we can also add loop with iteration. So the aims of this meeting is understand about program sequence, understand the branching concept, and understand the looping concept. So this is about PHP control structure. Control structure is used to read the flow of logic to match the condition. So if we have a code, usually code has algorithm or flowchart or step by step. So this step by step is a control structure to know what's the code that we must execute first and what the code that will we execute next. And in our programs or control structure, we can add branching or to select this block of code when the condition is met, and we can also have looping or iteration to make a block of program run for several times. Okay, so actually this is like we learn again about the basic programming. So it is the same like that we have learned too in the JavaScript, but for this meeting we will learn to use PHP. Okay, in this meeting we learn using PHP programming language to make branching and looping. So for branching or to select some code based on some condition, we can use if else, and switch. Okay, so this is the if structure. If structure, usually we use it when we have one condition or just one requirement to be met. So I will give you example. This is the example like we have learned in the previous meeting. We can make PHP inside the HTML or outside in the up of the HTML or in the bottom. But in this example, I will put it inside the body because it will be shown in the body of the HTML. So this is the if. You will see here we have variable. The variable name is name2, and we can put the value in here. So we can assign the value without initialize the variable in PHP, and we are not need to add the data type too. So we just need to write the name of the variable and the value like this. And the next line is to check if the condition have met, and this is used to know is the name same with Andy. So if this have the value true or this meet condition, because this name here is Andy and this is also same, so we will print this sentence. So the difference is if we just using if If the condition not met, this block of code won't be executed. Okay, don't forget to start your local host or Apache, and we will try to open it. Okay, so this is the display of the code because it meets the requirement here, so it will be executed. But if this not meet the requirement, for example like this block of code will be skipped, so it won't be show anything here. Okay, so this is the if the condition is met, it will be executed, or if not, it will be skipped. And we can also have if and else. Usually we have if and else if we have two conditions. So the first is if the condition is met, and the second if the condition is not met. So this is the example. Okay, in this example, we will check if the number is even or odd. Okay, the first example is like this. 40. We check the modulo of this number with the 2 by 2. If number modulo 2 equal to 0, it is equal. We will echo this with even number. Else, if the modulo is not 0, usually it's 1 or another, because we divide it with 2, of course the result just 0 or 1. So if the result is 1, we will show odd number like this. The difference is if it doesn't meet the requirement, it will be skipped. But in here, if it doesn't meet the requirement in the first, if we will go to else first. Okay, I think all of you have understand about it because this the basic of the programming or logic programming. So okay. We have number 40 and this is even, so it will be show even number. For example, I have this number, of course is not meet the first requirement, so it will be go to the else block like this, so it will be show a number. Okay, like this. So for this example, we have learned about if and if else, but we can also have many choice, right? So if we just have one choice, we can using if. If we have two, we can using if and else. But if we have more than that, we can using else if, and else, or maybe many else if again. So this is the example. In this example, we will get the day using date. So that date here actually is function from PHP. If we have something like date like this, we will get the day, value of the day of the date of the system right now. So if the date or the day is Friday, so if we choose T in here, it will be show the first three the first three like this from the day. Okay, alphabet, just three alphabet only. Okay, here is Friday, Sunday, and many others. Okay, but in here we just will be show if Friday and Sunday only. If else, it will be print have a nice day like this. Okay, and maybe this is the another example. We will check the marks or the value here. If the value is more than 18, you got A, and more than 70, you got B, until if your mark less than 50, you got A, E. Okay, so this like this. I will show you here. Okay, you got A because the value here is 95. So it will be put in the first choice here. Okay. This is the difference. If you have many choice, you can doing something like that. So maybe it is not here, but we can also have nested if. So if we have if inside the if, for example, here, if we have value, okay, I will extend. If the value more than 90, I will print something. So here, we will try if the value is 85. If we have 85, we will check first. So it will be put here and it will be print you got A. But because 85 is not more than 90, so it won't be print. Okay, we will check it. Okay, it will be show you got A only. But if I have here, for example, I have 100, so it put here and also it meet this requirement. So we have two condition that have met. This is the nested here. Okay, of course it will be show two sentence. The first is you got A and the second is congratulations like this. Okay, so this is the nested if example. And if we have many condition or many option, we can also using switch and case. So switch in here, we will check the value, and then the case is for the condition that must be met. Okay, so the case is the condition, and for the switch and case, usually we have break here. So break here is used if the condition have met. We will be stop the iteration and uh, we will be what can I say? We will be stop the iteration and go out from the checking condition here. Okay, so this is the example. We have many options here. Okay, and we can check if the option have met. So for example, if this have met, we don't, and we have break, we don't need to check another option. So that's the function of break. We won't check another option if the first or second or the earlier option has as meet the requirement. Okay, and we usually have default. So default here is like else in if all of the option here is not met, so we can go to the default. So the one that we will execute is the default one. Okay, so this is the destination is page. uh, if we see here, of course it will be print the block of code inside of the page. Okay, I will check here. Okay, but you want to go page. Okay, and if, for example, I have something like this, nowhere, and you see here, nowhere is not one of the option. So if we have the one that are not in the option, we will go to default usually. Okay, so this is the default, and the block of code that will be executed is inside the default. Okay, that is about switch and case. And I will continue about loop. Like we have learned before, loop is using to execute some block of code for many times. So if we want to repeat the block of code, we don't need to write it many times, but we just need to using for or while or do while or for like that to repeat the block of code. Okay, so this is the example. The first one is for. For is to make an iteration when we have already know how many times that we want to repeat. So usually we call for as counted loop because we know how many that we will repeat. But if we don't know how many times, we can using switch. So switch, you can call it as uncounted loop. Okay, first we will learn about for. This is the for here. Usually inside the for we have a variable to check or uh, to know how many iteration that we have done. So this is the first is the start or the initial value. Usually it start from 0, and then this is the condition that stop the iteration, and this is the increment. Okay, I'm sorry. So this is the example here. You see here, we start with 0, and then we will add this. We will add one value until the condition stop is met. The x is less than or equal to 10. So for this, maybe we will repeat it for 11 times. The first is from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is 11 repeat here. Okay, this I will give another example. And this is another example. We start with 0 and we will stop when less than 10. So from 0 until 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And of course, this will be repeated for 10 times. Okay, because this here, we just add this one. From every iteration, we will add the I with 1 only. Okay, I will open it here. So this is the result. We print this and we are doing multiplication 10 times like this. We don't need to write it for 10 times, but we just need to using for here to repeat it. Okay. Another repeat or syntax to using iteration is while. While is used when we don't know how many times we will repeat. For example, maybe you still remember in the JavaScript uh, topics we learn about while, like we must doing push up until tired. We don't know how many times we will be tired. So for case like this, we can using while. Okay, like this. For example, here, while in here I will add the value from 0. I will add it by 6 until the sum is less than 50. Okay, so if the sum is more than 50, it will be stopped from the iteration, but we don't know how many times it will be repeated, right? Okay, so this is the example here. The 0, I will add it with the 6. It will become 6, and add again with 6 become 12, add again 6 become 18 until the sum is more than 50. If more than 50, it will be stopped. That's why here it will be until 54 and it will be stopped. You know, here we don't know how many times the iteration will be do. So here we can using while. Okay, and we can also doing do while. For the difference with the while is in the do while we are doing the first iteration or first block of code before we check it. So in here it can be the code inside the while can be not execute or 0 iteration if the condition doesn't meet. But when we have do while, at least one iteration or one the block of code in the do will be executed, because we execute first, then we check the condition. So that's just the little bit differences between while and do while. But for all of the requirement, like we don't know how many times it will be repeated, it's the same with while. So this is the example. This is for factorial. We are doing the block, or we are execute the block of code first before we check the requirement. Okay, you can see it will be like this. And another one is for each. So for each is to repeat each element of the array. I think all of you have no array. Array is a set of the value. Usually we have a variable, but if the value of this variable have many value, we can put it in the array. So for example, like this, we have variable or we have array, name array, and inside this we have many value from 1 until 5. So if we are doing for each, we will check one by one of this element of the array. For example, here I have array name colors, and inside the array I have many value here: color red, green, blue, and yellow. Okay, like this. And if I doing for each, it will be checked one by one until the last value of the array. For example, I will print like this. How you print it? So it will be show all of the value inside the array like this. Okay, so it will be like this. And we can also using brick. So I want show you about the brick. Brick is like what we have to in the switch. If we have brick, all of the function or of the code below will be skipped below, but inside the block. PHP brick statement used to prematurely end the loop execution. So like this, if the condition code true, we will be a loop, but we can also doing break. So it will be uh, end the iteration and out of the block of the iteration code. And another is continue. It's a little bit different with break. If break, we will out of the iteration, but for the continue, break just one iteration. For example, we are using it in the for each like this. You see here, I have like this. If file, or this is colors because color as file here. So usually we are using something like this when we are using for each. So file here is one by one value here. If file here same with or equal with green, continue. So if we are doing continue, we will be skip it and we continue it with the next iteration. So if we have something like that, it must be we want echo or we want print the green, but we will continue with the next element or with next iteration. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, I not save it. Okay, like this. You see here, the green will be skipped because we are using continue in here. And if you want to add comment, usually we can using two slash like this. You see here the color will be different, so it will be a comment. If the comment happen, the block of code won't be executed. Okay. Okay, so that the topics about today, and then you can continue to work on your job sheet. Thank you, everyone.